Welcome to all. Today's topic verb. Verb is a word which says what someone or something is doing. It shows an action or state of being. The verb is king in English. A sentence cannot be constructed without a verb. It has a subject also. For example, Kiran painted a picture. In this sentence, Kiran is the subject and painted is the verb. Next sentence, she broke my slate. In this sentence, she is the subject and broke is the verb. Sometimes there is more than one kind of verb in a sentence. These are main verbs and auxiliary verbs. Main verbs are used to express action, something that a person or a thing or an animal does. The main verb expresses the main action or state of being of the subject in the sentence and changes form according to the subject. All the main verbs have the following five forms. These forms are used as per the requirement of the tenses. Look at the chart and understand what are the five verb forms. Next, regular and irregular verbs. Verbs which form their past and past participle forms with the help of the suffixes ed or t are known as the regular verbs, and those formed with the change of vowel are known as irregular verbs. Look at the example words given here. Next, transitive and intransitive verbs. A transitive verb requires an object to receive the action. If any sentence gives the answer of what or whom, then the verb used in such a sentences must be transitive verb. Look at the example sentences given here using the verb forms. It can take more than one object also, the direct object and indirect object. These objects answer both what and whom. Direct object tells us about what is affected by the action of the subject. Indirect object tells us about who is affected by the action of the subject. Look at the example sentences. Intransitive verbs. Some verbs do not require an object to make a sense but make good sense by themselves. An intransitive verb doesn't take an object. Look at the example sentences. The train was late, the birds flew away, the babies are sleeping. Next, finite verbs. These verbs change their forms when there is a change in the number or person of the subject. These are the actual verbs in a sentence. Look at the example sentences. Next, non finite verbs. These verbs do not change according to number or person of the subject. These are called verbals. They work as nouns, adjectives, and adverbs. There are mainly three types of non finite verbs. They are infinitives, gerunds, and participles. An infinitive is a verbal consisting of the word to plus a verb and functions as a noun, adjective, or adverb. A gerund is a verbal that ends in ing and functions as a noun. It is also called a verbal noun. A participle is a verbal that is used as an adjective and most often ends in ing or ad. It is called a verbal adjective. Look at the example sentence and try to understand. Second one, auxiliary verbs are helping verbs. As the name suggests, helping verbs help us support the main verb. Auxiliary verbs are used together with a main verb to give grammatical information and therefore add extra meaning to a sentence which is not given by the main verb. Auxiliary verbs are of two kinds. They are primary auxiliaries and modal auxiliaries. Primary auxiliaries help to form tense, questions, negative sentences, passive voice, etc. They are also called helping verbs. There are three primary auxiliaries or be forms, have forms, do forms. Be forms are be, am, is, or, was, were, been, being. Have forms are have, has, had. Do forms do, does, did, done, doing. All forms of be, have, and do can be used as both auxiliary and main verbs. Look at the example sentences for understanding. Modal auxiliary verbs. A modal auxiliary denotes the mood of a verb. It expresses ability, possibility, request, necessity, permission, expectation, obligation, etc. It does not change according to number and person. There can, will, shall, may, ought to, able to, used to, and must. Do the given exercise to check your knowledge. Thank you for watching the video and please subscribe the channel to get more videos.